almost there.
I've made what I think is a big step forward with MIDIPan and MIDIKalimba, and I'd like to share that with you now. With these, there hasn't been a huge amount of user feedback, but what I have had relates to the velocity sensitivity, the range of it, and the balancing. This isn't an excuse, just the story of how these things developed. The prototype didn't even have velocity sensitivity. The capacitive touch chip that I use is really aimed at producing triggers, so it didn't cross my mind initially until Kale, my collaborator, suggested it. I was very happy to get something working and to even have some difference in sound level and quality according to a light or heavy touch. Added another dimension, turned this into an expressive instrument. At the time, that felt like quite an achievement. But when you advertise something as having velocity sensitivity, maybe you set expectations, and not unreasonable ones. And people are using it in ways that I didn't expect. One user, for example, has mapped velocity to filter cutoff, which would be an awesome effect if the range was full and the level of the velocity was spot on and equal for each pad. Here are the problems. The raw data from the pads are well out of balance. Two are connected together, changing the values from those ones quite radically. But there are other subtle factors too, such as track length, that affect the readings dramatically. So there's a table of values hard-coded in that compensates. One complication of that is that I've already had one hardware revision which changes that balance, and there's another revision on the way, so already providing the right firmware updates to the right people is becoming complicated. Differences in my making may change that balance from device to device, and since these measure capacitance, overall readings will change from user to user, maybe even from day to day. I guess users will vary too in what they consider the lightest or heaviest touch. One user asked for a way to calibrate it, and so I've built the tool into the OS. And this turns out to be such a good idea and a bigger game changer than I expected. Not only does it solve those balancing differences between devices and differences between users, but since it asks for samples of your lightest and heaviest touch for each pad, it can do the maths and produce a velocity value for each pad, which covers the full range and is more accurate. I'll show you this tool now. I've tried to make it very quick and easy to use so that I can do this when I first make and test each one, and so that anybody else can quickly and easily recalibrate anytime they like. The first time it starts up after being built or after being upgraded from an earlier version, it asks you to calibrate. Or you can access this from the menu at any time. First, it'll ask for your lightest touch on each pad, the touch that you think should barely trigger a note. And you do this as many times as you like. Half a dozen taps are enough. More is better. It'll take an average of the taps you make on each pad, and as it detects consistency, it shows this animation, which is based on Luke's targeting computer. Then you can make your heaviest touch, or the touch that you consider should produce the highest velocity reading. Once again, multiple taps for each pad, and we're done. Once that's done, which only takes a minute, this version of the software can produce velocities across the whole range, and I'm hearing variations in the sounds that I like to use that I haven't heard before. If you're a MIDIPan or MIDIKalimba owner, I hope you like what you've seen. I'll be writing to you in the next week or so with details of the firmware update. If you're seeing this for the first time and are interested, I'll put links in the description to more videos and to the product pages. I'll be supplying this version of the firmware on any new MIDIPans and MIDIKalimbas that I send out. Thanks for watching.